All right. So we got a good number of people logged in, so I think we're ready to get started. So good morning. Happy Tuesday. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Jennifer Willett. I'm with Cassie Associates, and I'm also honored to serve as chair of the Women's Alliance at GOBA. I'd also like to recognize our council members and our vice chair, Stacy Juento, who's listening in with us today. So we are focusing on wellness, building a better you. That is definitely something we could all use a little more of these days. So this is actually brought to you by our sponsors, Allied Building and Paul Doley with Signature Wealth Advisors. So a huge thank you to both of our sponsors. So throughout the presentation, if you have any questions, just submit them through the Q&A feature. This webinar is also being recorded and it can be replayed on the GOBA website. So I'm very, very excited to introduce our first speaker, Heather Maloney. Heather's a nonprofit professional with American Heart Association. She oversees the Orlando Heart Ball and Hard Hats with Hearts campaign, which raises funds to create a healthier Central Florida. She's wife and mother of a boy. Heather is a University of Central Florida alumni, and she enjoys cheering on the UCF Knights. Go Knights. Thank you so much for joining us, Heather.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me, Jennifer. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you all. So I am so thrilled to be joining you today on one of our largest icon days of the year, World Heart Day. Everything is related to cardiovascular care. And as you'll see from the presenters today, the heart is truly at the center of all that we do. So what can you expect and why is this important? Nearly all or half of all Americans have high blood pressure, but most of them don't even know it. LifeSimple 7 is an important tool to help prevent and manage chronic conditions like high blood pressure. So understanding this relationship to LifeSimple 7 and cardiovascular care will provide and enhance the health and wellness of you and your family. So I'm going to start off with some facts and statistics in the United States, and you guys can play along at home. Heart disease is the number overall cause of death in the United States. And unfortunately, I know we have the chat enabled, so I'm going to go ahead and click on that one for you. It's number 1, which is why it is so important that we are talking about cardiovascular care today. Now, stroke. Stroke is the number overall cause of death in the United States. Stroke is number 5. So just as important that we all are aware of the signs and symptoms of stroke and the preventative measures that we can take. About 2,200 Americans die of cardiovascular disease every day. It's a staggering number, and that's why this is so important that we are able to get in front of you today to educate. And then someone in the United States has a stroke about once every 40 seconds. So more than once a minute, somebody is having a stroke here in the US. But I have some really good news. So 80% of cardiovascular disease is preventable. So what that means is that only 20% is something that you are inheriting, genetic. 80% is preventable, and that is why we want to make sure that we are talking about these types of things for LifeSimple 7 today. So what is LifeSimple 7? It is it's what the American Heart Association has defined as what it means to have ideal heart health. So you'll see those icons on the right side of the screen that has a lot of information. There's 7 different areas, and we're going to quickly go through those today so that hopefully you'll have some insight as to how you can start managing and increasing your heart health. So this is a biggie, and I think we've all heard this over and over for the majority of our lives, at least I know I have. But number 1, don't smoke. And we're also including don't vape in this as well. Smoking is the leading cause of preventable heart health. So it's so important if you know people that smoke, if you yourself smoke, It's not too late to stop. In fact, your body can start the repair process as soon as you quit, regardless of how long you've been smoking. So if you're ready to quit, start having a conversation with your doctor, your physician, find out what you need to do to get on the right track and to start your smoking cessation today. Reducing blood sugar. So why is this important? High blood sugar encourages the growth of plaque in our arteries and increases our risk for diabetes, heart disease, and stroke. So I'm sure you watch some television in the evenings like I do with your family, and you'll see those commercials come on all the time that talk about the risk or the relationship between heart disease and stroke and diabetes. They all go hand in hand. And one way that we can really make sure that we're having the biggest impact on our heart health is to keep our blood sugar low. So we can take action by making good food choices, checking our blood sugar at least once a year. So when we go in for those wellness exams, ladies, make sure you're fasting and you're doing those blood tests so you can know your numbers. And then commit to regular physical activity in order to maintain a healthy weight. Controlling cholesterol, so another biggie and another one that's really important. And it's because when there's too much cholesterol in your blood, you're at a major risk for heart disease and stroke. So when you hear those ladies and gentlemen that go into the hospital and they have arteries that are 90% blocked, that is because their cholesterol was probably off the charts. So we want to take some action here by following our healthcare provider's advice, finding out what your LDL number is, finding out and knowing that if you need to lower that you're making some healthy food choices in order to do so. Although there is medication that can help control cholesterol, the best and easiest way to start is through diet and exercise. Then we want to manage our blood pressure. So why is this important? Well, high blood pressure is the single most significant risk factor for heart disease. And I'm going to say this one twice because it's so important. High blood pressure is the single most significant risk factor for heart disease. The normal blood pressure is a blood pressure reading below 120/80. So raise of hands for those ladies I can see on screen. How many of you know what your blood pressure is? Ooh, I'm impressed. How many of you know what your dress size is? Dress size, sorry. And your shoe size. So, and kudos to all the ladies I can see, but it is just important to know your blood pressure as it is to know your dress size, your shoe size. This should be a number that we have committed to heart and to memory, ladies. So make sure that we are taking some action here. 1 of 3 adult Americans have high blood pressure and they are unaware of it. So don't be one of those individuals. Know your blood pressure score, know your numbers. Track your progress. So if you do have a slightly elevated high blood pressure, go and buy an inexpensive cuff at a local CVS or Walgreens and just start monitoring, self-monitor at home. And then that way, when you do go in for those annual doctor's appointments, you can let them know that you've been monitoring and you can hopefully see some type of correlation. Maybe it's high because of stress, or maybe it's high because when you walk through the doctor's office doors, your blood pressure gets elevated. So this is a great way to make sure you're managing it at home. So high blood pressure equals higher risk of stroke. So the reason we want to make sure that we know those numbers is because, unfortunately, high blood pressure does typically increase your chances of having a stroke. So we want to make sure that we know some information about stroke as well as cardiovascular care. And we have a little acronym at the Heart Association called FAST. So the F stands for face drooping, the A is for arm weakness, the S is for speech difficulty, and then T, time to call 911. So if you are with your family members, with a friend, with a coworker, and you notice that they are exhibiting the F, A, and S, please make sure that you do finish that acronym of T and call 911 immediately. Now, this is the slide that I always think is probably one of our most important slides. So men and women are not created equal. We know this. And unfortunately, with genetics, when it comes to the signs and symptoms of cardiovascular heart attack care, men and women do not have the same type of warning signs. So a lot of times you'll be watching the movies and you'll see the gentleman who is having a heart attack and he clutches his chest and falls to the floor. Ladies, that doesn't happen to us. 9 times out of 10, we have very different warning signs, and they're things like fainting or indigestion, extreme fatigue, chest pain, but not always, lower pain in your abdominal. How many of you notice that you have some of these symptoms almost on a daily basis, putting up with kids, doing the e-learning, working remotely, working on site? So it's so important that we know that we have different types of signs and symptoms of cardiovascular disease. And if you are experiencing any of these symptoms, especially a majority of them together, that you are getting to your doctor or primary physician immediately. Now, controlling weight is another one of our Life Simple 7. So why is weight important? Well, a BMI of 21 is optimal for cardiovascular care. And I know some of the experts on the panel will probably talk a little bit more, or a lot more, about taking care of our overall heart health and body health. So we want to make sure that we are aware of that BMI number. And again, that's something that you can either find out when you go into your physician's office and have that annual appointment, or it's something you can calculate on your own. And then what do we want to do about that? We want to take action. So for effective weight loss, we want to start with choosing to invest our energy in the task and not feeling guilty. So not working out because, or deciding to work out because unfortunately our BMI might be a little bit over that optimal number, and almost bashing yourself for that. Instead, make sure that you're saying, hey, I know my number's a little higher, but I want to do something good about it. And I want to make sure that I'm making a difference. So coming up with a weight loss plan that works for you, making sure you're reducing the amount of calories that you burn every day. It's as simple as that. We don't have to go on crazy, only eating cantaloupes for a week type of diets these days. You can do it the right way, and the right way is typically slow and steady, but it's the way that it's going to stay off. So eating healthy, so tips for yourself and for your family. We kind of always joke and talk about making sure you approach your eating like you were a food marketer. So think of it as you're marketing food for yourself when you're choosing and deciding to make choices. So nudge yourself to make those healthy food choices. And we have some really neat recipes and resources available for us. So if you visit recipes.heart.org, there's going to be all types of great heart healthy recipes. There's recipes for breakfast and lunch and dinner, family recipes, even holiday recipes, which I personally love. So that's a great resource available for you. For restaurants, plan ahead. There's a healthydiningfinder.com, which is a really great website that you can go to. And you can actually plug in the name of the restaurant you're going to and look at their menu and see what menu items are heart healthy. So that way, when you get there, making the healthy choice will be the easy choice. And then when you're in the grocery store, shop for the heart check mark. So when you're out and you're looking for canned items or things of that nature, make sure you're looking for ones that are lower in sodium and that have been approved by the American Heart Association, so you know that you'll be selecting something that is heart healthy. And then physical activity. So this is a good one. We have all types of recommendations by the American Heart Association, as you'll see listed on the screen. But the most important thing is, what do you love to do? So if you are a reader like I am, especially before kids, grab one of those audiobooks and put on your headphones and go for a walk around the neighborhood and listen to a couple of chapters. It's a great way to get started, and walking is an amazing way to exercise. Maybe you love having lunch with friends. Well, go ahead and walk to those restaurants, or maybe do a walking meeting with your friends, invite them to join you. Or maybe you're motivated by rewards like my coworker is. So when she works out, she actually pays herself $1 a day when she works out, and she accumulates a nice little fund that at the end of the month, she can go and treat herself to a manicure or a pedicure or something fun that she wanted to buy herself. Whatever it takes, the payoff is going to be so much bigger than the reward. So just make sure you're starting something and do something that you enjoy doing, because it'll obviously encourage you to continue doing it. Now, setting yourself up for success. So now we've gone through all 7 of the Life Simple 7. So now we want to start coming up with a plan. So how do we get all of these wonderful tidbits incorporated into our daily life? So first you're going to want to schedule it, and then you're going to want to set a SMART goal and write it down. I know most of us are familiar with SMART goals because we're all professionals and we've gone through some type of training or another, but just as a reminder, a regular goal might look like, I want to work out. And a SMART goal would be something like, this week I will walk 3 times for 30 minutes, and that's how you will set up your workout. And then most importantly, celebrate successes, regardless of how big or how small. If you lose an inch, that's a celebration. If you walk 3 times a day, that's a celebration. If you make a heart healthy recipe, woo, woo, celebration. So just make sure that you're doing those things and you're celebrating your successes. And then lastly, I want to make sure that everyone's aware that the Heart Association is very geared towards the construction heart health. We really know that this is an industry that's under an extreme amount of stress. It doesn't always have the opportunity to make the healthiest food choices, and sometimes doesn't have the time to go work out. So we have a program called Hard Hats with Heart, and we're going to have a digital experience on October 29th. There's going to be a lot of really great opportunities to learn hands-only CPR. We're going to have a stroke segment with one of our local neurologists and lots more. So if you're interested, I'd invite you to please join us. And I'm going to kick it off to our next speaker, Miss Melanie. So thank you so much for having me.
All right, it looks like Jennifer is muted, so I will go ahead and introduce, oh, there you are, Jennifer.
So Maria is our next speaker. She's the founder and CEO of Team Love Your Life and Love Life Fitness. She's not only been on her own health journey for the last 5 years, but she's also been helping others with their health and fitness by keeping them accountable in her virtual accountability groups. She believes the greatest way to be the very best version of yourself is by putting your own oxygen mask on first. I love that. Hello, Maria.
Can you hear me?
Here we go.
Hi. Well, good morning. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I really appreciate it. Like Jennifer said, I am a virtual health and fitness coach. I have been on my own personal journey for about 5 years now, a little over, and I kind of want to go through like everything that Heather was saying. I was like, yes. I kind of want to go through especially because of the times that we're in, where I was before this. So I want you to understand that maybe you could relate to some parts of my story, because a lot of the times we feel like, well, they can do it because it's easy for them, or they work from home. So I want to kind of take you a little bit back, just so that you can get an idea of where I was and where I am now and what I was able to do to get there. So I'm going to really quickly. So this was me in 2015. I found out I had cervical cancer. I was a single mom of 3 kids. So it really took a huge toll on me. I didn't know what to do. The racing thoughts of, if something happens to me, what's going to happen to my babies? So I went into a deep depression. I had no self-confidence. I had no self-love. I felt stuck, like I didn't know what to do. I put a big old smile on because that's what people were used to seeing. And in this particular picture, I had just had surgery for the first time in that year for the cervical cancer. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go skydiving because I've always wanted to do that. And if something ever happens, at least I know that I accomplished that. And so I was super happy in the moment, but the chubby checks that I would do, the pants that were too tight, and it felt like so wrong that I didn't want to buy a size higher, but I wasn't fitting into the size that I was, and it became a spiral. And the moment that I decided that enough was enough, that I decided to put my oxygen mask on first. So when Heather was stating to not feel guilty, basically, about taking that time to get a quick workout in, that was something that I had to learn how to do. I was given the diagnosis of cancer, and I was like, oh my gosh. So what I ended up doing was, like I said, I decided that I needed to do something. And so now I feel healthy. And it's so crazy because the difference between feeling that depressed and non-joyous feeling just was so much inside. And so I learned how to eat. I live in joy. I feel so much more self-confident. As you could tell, the smile is a little bit different in the pictures. I feel like I'm always now moving forward. Whether I take a few steps back sometimes, that's okay. It's having a little bit of grace that we're human and that we go through things, AKA pandemic, and distance learning and all of those crazy things that we have been going through, but knowing that moving forward and recognizing that this is something that exercise and eating right, and it's not necessarily having crazy diets. So I related with everything that Heather was saying, because I didn't. The way that I did this was very simple. I decided that enough was enough. So that's the first step to making a healthy change, is making that decision. Because the moment that you decide, it's crazy because the universe, something conspires to make it happen when you decide that you want something. So I set a goal, and I set a SMART goal. I wanted to get to, I think I had started at 170 pounds, and I wanted 135. That was like my ideal goal. But I set a goal, and I was like, all right, but before my surgery, because I ended up having cancer again, a month and a half after I started my journey, it came back. So I was going to get a hysterectomy. And I decided that by my surgery date, I wanted to get to under 150 pounds. That was like 20 pounds that I had to take care of it between October and December. And I was like, how can I make this happen? So it was by setting small goals. So it was 2 pounds a week was my goal. And if I achieved that 2 pounds a week, I made sure that I would celebrate it, not only for myself, but for the people that started following my journey. I started posting online for accountability, and it ended up being that people actually followed what I was doing, and that were inspired by the fact that as a single mom of 3 kids, I worked in the travel industry before, and I traveled once a month for a week, and I was always on the go. And my oldest daughter had just been diagnosed with bipolar disorder. There was just so many things going against me, and I still made time to put my oxygen mask on first. So I followed a program from home because, again, the gym kind of seemed a little out of sorts, and I've never stepped foot in a gym, so that I wasn't gonna go there. But I found a program that I was able to do at home. So I moved my body for 30 minutes a day at the very least. And I started with something that I love. So there's dance programs. I love to dance. So I have a ton of rhythm and very little coordination. So something that taught me how to dance a routine was what lit my soul on fire, and it started the habit. So they say it takes 21 days to make or break a habit. Well, I did 7 weeks of this, and it gave me joy every morning to wake up and press play and do something that I enjoyed, but it was still moving my body. So whether it's walking around the block for 30 minutes, or you know, getting some hand weights and doing some type of weighted workout. It doesn't matter. Do something to move your body for at least 30 minutes a day. I followed a balanced, let me say that again, a balanced nutrition program. So there's so many diets out there. Believe me, I tried all of the things. But the only way to do this and do this that is a sustainable way of doing it is having a balanced nutrition program. So make sure that, because people stay away from carbs because, oh my gosh, carbs, they make me, no, guys, carbs are so good for you in terms of the fuel that it gives your body for energy. It's super important. So what I suggest is, maybe eat a little bit of a healthier carb, right? So instead of going for the French fries or the bunch of like white rice, because I'm Puerto Rican and that's what my family went to all the time, instead of that, maybe get a sweet potato and make a baked sweet potato, or make a sweet potato mash, or plantains. There's ways to get around the unhealthy carbs and push towards something that's going to be more healthy and your body will use as fuel for energy, because we need energy. So that's super important. Fruits, super important. Proteins and healthy fats. And it's a balanced nutrition plan versus a diet. A diet is also really bad for our brain, because we say, oh my gosh, a diet means that we have restrictions. No, we don't have to restrict things. We can moderately eat the things that we enjoy as well. So understand that it isn't about to make it sustainable. It isn't about a diet. It is definitely about having a well-balanced nutrition plan to follow. I know that it is sometimes really, really hard, you guys, but I drink about a gallon a day myself, because I do work out and I'm always on the go. But at least drinking half of your body weight in ounces is super important. Your body is mainly made up of water. And so when we're dehydrated, so many things can happen. Even blood flow will not flow the way it's supposed to, because we need water. We need to hydrate ourselves, and it's not hydrating ourselves just because we had some juice. Juice actually has a whole lot of sugar in it. So sticking to at least drinking half of your body weight in ounces will help you successfully get healthier. I don't like to lose weight, because it can be the physical aspect of it, but it's so much more of what's happening inside. So I personally read or listened to at least 10 minutes of personal development, because with everything that's happening around us, it is so important to focus on what's happening in here, because if this is not okay, we are not okay. I love I've done a lot of personal development in the last 5 years. And one of the things that I take with me all the time is, if there is dis-ease, hyphenated, if there's dis-ease in your body, it typically creates disease. It manifests into disease. So taking care of this is so important, because in a journey, I've had so many of my own girls that have had success, but they don't even see it until they start understanding that they're worthy of what they're seeing in the mirror. And it's so, so important. So personal development every day, and then have some sort of an accountability. Accountability is key. You guys, I would have not done this if I wasn't posting every day on social media or had a group to post in, because I had tried doing these things before, and I would start and then I would stop, and then I would start and then I would stop. And honestly, it has completely transformed my life in a way that I didn't think that accountability could, because when someone knows that it's that someone's going to wait for you to post to make sure that you did what you needed to do, you kind of feel like, oh, okay, they did it. I have to do it. Let's do it. So that was kind of the way that I was able to be successful, and it works. It's sustainable. I have one of my girls over here she is actually based in Alaska. So it doesn't have to be someone that's here in your vicinity. She is in Alaska. She still checks in with our group every single day, and she is close to losing 100 pounds. Like, that is, like, I get goosebumps and I feel like I want to cry, just because I knew that she had talked to me about not feeling good anymore and all this stuff. She had a baby and everything was happening. And I was like, oh my God, I can relate so much to your story. And because I was able to be that little bit of inspiration for her to stick to it, she has been able to come out of this in like almost now 2 years in such a much better place. Not only physically, her heart is better, her mind is better, her physical body is better. There's so much that comes with a journey, and health is so important. I absolutely love, I'm hoping that all of you have watched the movie Legally Blonde, but one of the phrases that she says in there just always makes me laugh, but it makes my heart happy in terms of what I do now, is endorphins make you happy. Happy people don't just kill their husbands, right? So in order for us to be happier, let's move a little bit. Let's eat the right nutritious foods so that we are a much better version of ourselves and live a much happier and healthier life.
Excellent. I think so many of us can relate to that, and just great tips on staying motivated and goal setting, and you are an inspiration. So thank you so much, Maria. So next we have Melanie Griffin. She is the founder of Spread Your Sunshine, which is such a cool name. Melanie is a motivational speaker, consultant, inspirational products entrepreneur, and business legislation and employment law attorney with an Am Law 200 firm. Her ability to invoke positive change has been celebrated with numerous accolades, including the GSWCF Women of Promise, the FSU Inspire, and Florida Bar YLD Outstanding Woman Lawyer of Achievement Awards. So congratulations. We're so happy to have you here, and thank you, Melanie.
Yes, well, thank you for having me today. I am sharing my contact details so that if you want to connect after this presentation, I will be around, of course, on social media, as well as through our website at Spread Your Sunshine. I agree. It just always makes me just happy to say that name in general. But with that, I want to pick up on a theme that Heather and Maria started with, and that is that it is always a good time to make a change. And so it doesn't matter if you came to this webinar this morning and you're in tip-top shape, or if you came and you thought, man, I need to get every tip and trick these women share. It is always a good time to start over, and it is never too late to do so. And so what I want to talk a little bit about today is quote unquote the head, or what you're thinking about, particularly you, because most of my work centers around imposter syndrome and overcoming the fear of failure. So I love the word that Maria used, and I wrote it down here, worthy. You are worthy of love. You are worthy of awesomeness. And in fact, you are incredibly awesome. And so that's the first thing that I want to start with this morning in terms of looking at our heads and our minds and what we can do to create that positive mindset. Is I want you to think of the person who is your best friend. And I'm only giving you a second because if they're your bestie, it probably didn't take that long. And I want for you to take a second and think about, if this is your best friend and you guys are out at a party together, it's post-COVID and you're living it up, you're celebrating, whoop whoop. How do you introduce your best friend to someone else? And again, if they're your bestie, I'm just gonna give you a second because it probably doesn't take you too long to come up with that answer. And so now think about it. I want you to think about the same thing. And so for me, if I am going to be introducing my bestie, I might say something like, this is Barb, and she is so effervescent. She's full of life. She's so caring. She thinks of everybody before herself. She bakes the most fabulous sugar cookie, and she just got elected as a judge in Orlando without opposition. She is a total bad, you know what? And you just have to meet her. This lady is going to change your life. So hopefully your introduction to your bestie sounded something like that, enthusiastic. And now I want to take one comparison and think for yourself, what do you say when you introduce yourself? Why are you fabulously awesome and uniquely talented? And I'm pausing here a bit longer, and the silence to me is just apropos, because I think so many times we have trouble explaining why we are awesome or knowing why we are awesome. And what would your bestie, so what would Barb in my situation think about me if I didn't know why I'm worthy and why I'm enough? Barb would not be very happy with me. And so what we have to do is to know why we are fabulously awesome and uniquely talented to be here. We've got to get rid of what we were taught in childhood, that it's not okay to have those awesome thoughts about yourself, and to know why we are worthy and why we are enough. And so I want you to spend a few minutes today, that's gonna be your homework tip number one, of thinking about that. What are your positive attributes and what do you bring to this world? Because if you are at this webinar, then you absolutely check that box. And so number two is that we need to set our mindset every day, and particularly our intentions of what we want to get out of this day and what we want to have the people who interact with us, what will their experience look like? And so one of the things that it's easy to do and not give our mind a break is to run from thing to thing to thing. I don't know about you, but I am absolutely guilty of that, from getting in my car and I rush to the office, or at least pre-pandemic, I rushed to the office. I'm running into a meeting, I'm just sliding in there at the last second. I'm getting my notes ready for that, rushing back, to my office to crank out the next document, type it out. And so I'm never resting and giving my mind a break. And those are so critical throughout the day. Research shows that if you don't take a break at least every 45 to 90 minutes, that you're not doing yourself a favor. And it's so easy to think that you're just going to power through the day, but all that does is to make your mind fatigued. And so you can't be as much for yourself and you can't be as much for others. And so a really good practice here is to, number one, thinking about actually setting an alarm on your computer that you can actually make you physically get up. So it'll literally say, like Maria's saying, we have to drink water, or like Heather says, we need to get up and walk around, get our exercise. It actually triggers you to take a break and not just power through whatever you're doing. Number two, another way you can take a really good break is that, again, when you pull into that parking spot, or you roll up to the office, or you're switching from project to project, to not just steamroll through the day, but to actually take a 30, 60-second break and think, what is my intention for what am I about to do next? What do I want to get out of this? And then what experience do I want for people to have with me? So you see, I've had my eyes closed. I love to do this exercise throughout the day. And in particular, to think, again, what do I want to get out of this? So for me this morning, I wanted to learn. I took so much from Heather's and Maria's presentations, and know that I'm going to learn so much from Allison next. And then I also thought about, what is my intention for what the experience I want each of you to have with me this morning as well. And so spending some time thinking about that. And one of the things that's helped me in the latter regard is that I literally almost have an angel and devil sitting on each shoulder. And I think about, who is the person that I want to be like, that is, that Legally Blonde Reese Witherspoon, if she's your icon, or if there's somebody else, who's healing the world, whatever it may be, but who do I want to be like? And then I also think about, oppositely, what experience do I not want people to have with me? And then when I feel myself starting to go down that route and have this experience or create this negative experience that I know is not the best of me, then it helps to rein me back in. And so for me this morning, I wanted to make sure that regardless of how much sleep I got last night, regardless of how I'm feeling, what the weather looks like outside, that you could feel the energy and know that I truly wanted to connect with each person on this presentation and make sure that you know that you are special and that you are enough and you are worthy. And so just setting that intention and knowing where I'm going in my mind is enough then to help me actually move that forward and bring that energy and that passion today in connecting with each of you. So think about how you can do that throughout the day. My third tip while we're together today is that you can physically have a gremlin. So for me, I picked Mr. Sunshine this morning, or Mrs. Sunshine. I actually think she's kind of cute. So this probably is not the best example, but it's one that I have heard of that I just loved when I heard someone share this at a women's conference a few years ago. And similar to me having Mrs. Sunshine, she has a stuffed animal that if she has a big meeting that's really giving her a lot of anxiety, that she leaves that stuffed animal in her office, in her hotel room, wherever it is. And that represents her inner gremlin, that thing that is taking you away from the introduction that we started off with, thinking of why are you awesome? Why are you amazing? And bringing you to a place that you don't need to be, that you are not deserving to be, because you don't want to be down in the dumps and having that negative self-talk. And so you literally look at Mrs. Sunshine and you say, Mrs. Sunshine, goodbye. We are done here. No more negative self-talk. I'm going to rock my presentation. This morning is going to be amazing. You get to stay in my office and I get to go to my presentation. And just having that physical departure can sometimes just be such a good thing to empower you and really show you that you have what it takes, or give you the mindset that you have what it takes. Number 4 is that I also love uplifting others. And so with that, I love sending out handwritten notes and cards. And so this one, for example, that I love to send says, "Sent with love by someone who totally believes you shine." And it is just amazing to me, 2 things. One is how by uplifting others, we also uplift ourselves, and that we can have a positive mindset by knowing that we are pulling others up with us. And so for me, it hasn't always been an inherent practice. I was raised by a Midwestern family. I'm a Florida native, but a lot of my family tends to be awesome and supportive, but not necessarily the most articulate when it comes to sharing their feelings. And so for me, it wasn't always natural to say, "Hey, Josie, I really love that presentation you gave this morning." Or, "Hey, Betsy, that skirt you're wearing, it just really makes your eyes pop, and yellow is truly your color." But if you're able to articulate those feelings and not just think someone is awesome, but actually tell them they are awesome, it makes a critical difference in your world, because now you feel great that you're uplifting others, and a critical difference in their world. And for me, that has hit home on almost a daily basis now that I've made this a practice, because what is curious to me is that I am giving Josie and Betsy in my examples compliments. So I am telling them how freaking awesome they are, because I think they're at the top of their game, that they are just, hitting their A game out of the park that day. And what I find more often than not is that Josie and Betsy had absolutely no idea that until I told them and expressed how I was feeling about them and what I was thinking about them, that unfortunately, because they weren't at this webinar this morning and they weren't hearing all these awesome speakers and getting all these tips that they can immediately implement, they were going through that negative self-talk. And so you can be the difference between whether that self-talk continues or whether they change and then have a positive mindset. And one of the times it was most recently hit home for me is that about a week ago, I went and had my hair done. And my hairstylist said to me, she goes, "Do you remember when you dropped off that card for me around Christmas Eve?" And I had to really go back in the Rolodex now that the holidays, I can't believe it, but are almost upon us again. So we're talking almost a year ago. But I remembered, and I said, "Yeah, I remember." And she said, "That's the day that I found out I was getting a divorce. And it was one of the worst days of my life. But you stopping by and giving me a card to uplift my spirits totally changed my day and let me know that I could get through the experience." And it just hits me over and over the power that we have to truly make someone's day if we put the thought and time into it. And so the last thing I'll leave you with in our time together is this, is that a couple of our other speakers have hit on it. continuing education. I know that Maria really emphasized 10 minutes of personal development every single day. I am a huge believer in that. And speaking of celebrating things, I love it when my iPhone gives me the daily goal achieved on my Audible, because I too love reading, quote unquote, on audiobooks, because it helps me save time and get other things done while still consuming lots of great content and information. And that is another way that we can have mentorship in our lives and also get little tips and strategies that will help us have a better mindset and get through every day. And so thank you for connecting with me today. I really enjoyed being here and would love to hear from you on the social media platforms and website that have been shared on this slide.
Melanie, thank you. You have such an amazing energy, and I really love your message of uplifting others and the importance of setting intentions in everything you do. That can be a very powerful tool to guide you throughout everything that you do. So next, I'd like to introduce Allison Carmody. I've been following her on Facebook for a while, and she definitely uplifts me a lot. So she has been studying health and wellness for the last 25 years. She is a certified life coach who assists women in living a more purpose-filled life and releasing blocks that stand in our way of truly living to our fullest expression of self. Allison is going to take you through an exercise that will allow and help you to create an empowering version of your life with unlimited possibilities. Hello, Allison.
Hi. Okay. So how do I need to share. Can you guys see this? Okay. Okay, welcome everybody. That was so amazing. I'm so excited to even be present here to hear everybody. And this is going to play directly into what we're about to do right now, which is what Melanie shared and Maria shared, and we have to really just create a life that we want. But in order to be able to create the life we want, we have to assess where we are first. And so what I want you guys to do is just sketch down on your piece of paper, just a circle, just what's on here, a circle, and then put eight pie charts in there. Can you guys see? Okay. And then on the circle, just add in these top areas. And so this is for your own personal use. Nobody's going to see it, but really to really get to where we want to go in life, we have to assess where we are first. And if we don't really actually take a look at, oh, wait, my relationships aren't where I want them to be, my finances, whatever it is, isn't where we want it to be exactly, then we can't get to where we want to go. So after you're done with that, I want you to just put a scale from 1 to 10 and just kind of, put whether you feel like you're 5, you're a 10, you're a 1. So I did speak with some of the women that are in your industry, and some of the frustrations that they shared was that they feel like, when is my job actually done for the day? How do I assess whether or not I did a good job? And these were, and some of the other things is, just constantly working around the clock, and you don't have a scale to measure your performance. So really, these things is something that we have to do to measure our own self and what is it that we want to create for our life, because this work thing never ends. And we really have to figure out what is it, the life that we want to create. Work is one aspect of our life, but what about what Melanie talked about, the mental health? What about the actual physical health, our relationships, our finances, our personal development? All these things, we actually have to take the time out to assess what is it that we want in that area of our life. And so while you guys are doing that, if you're finished or whatever, I want to share with every single thing you have or don't have in your life comes down to your belief. So say you have a great relationship or not such a great relationship comes down to your belief about relationships. Maybe you have a problem with men, or maybe you have a good relationship with men, and that is something that creates a belief. Same thing about money. If you don't, you keep spending all your money, or you're in debt on a regular basis, like, what is that belief that's driving? So what it comes down to is that belief drives your thoughts, and those thoughts drive your feelings, and then the feelings is that energy drives the actions, and that produces the results. So anything that you want to have in life comes down to a belief. So let's just say I followed Maria around all day, and at the end of the day, I would know exactly what her beliefs are based on her results she's getting, based on her thoughts, based on her actions that she's taking. And this is the same, you guys. So if you want to create that change in your life, you want to, have better physical health, better relationships, it has to start down with that belief first. And we have to get in and really start to examine what are those beliefs that we have in life that aren't necessarily positive, and really go in and examine this and see what is it that is driving the results that I'm getting. Because if you don't have the results that you want, it comes down to the belief and the value that you have created in your life. And now is the best time you can make a change for it. So right now, we're about to go into a meditation. But I want you to understand that everything in life starts with a vision. Maria shared with us that she had the vision, that she had decided that she was going to make a change for her physical health. But first, she actually had a vision. And probably Melanie, before she started her Spread Your Sunshine, she had this vision for what she wanted to create. And so we have to take this time in this moment to create a vision for our relationships, for our finances, for our whatever we want to create in our physical health, in travel, recreation, what we want to do. We have to first have a vision. And unfortunately, 70 to 80,000 thoughts on a daily basis are unconscious, which means that these thoughts you had the day before and the day before that. And so to really create what we want, we have to start consciously creating thoughts, new thoughts, and then having a vision to anchor those two. So what really drives people to create the life they want was Maria had this huge thing that, a negative aspect that happened. And then she had the energy and the drive to change that. Well, unfortunately, what happens for a lot of us is that negative thing, that negative aspect takes us out. It's a car accident, it's a health challenge, it's someone dying, or something that kind of wakes us up. And I'm saying we don't have to learn lessons that way anymore. We can choose to learn lessons from a positive way, because I'm telling you right now, if you don't wake up to the things that need to change, you will end up in a divorce. You will end up in with 20 pounds heavier. You'll end up in some sort of catastrophic event that's occurred. So that's why we really have to create the vision. The universe and everything moves us towards that life, that our soul pulls us towards that life that we should be living. And that is through creating this vision. You already know what you need to be doing. You've heard the voices in your head. You've been told from other people. You already know. It's just now moving forward and creating that vision, anchoring that vision every day using visualization. So I'm going to share with you a meditation, a quick meditation that we're just going to take you through to create a vision for your life. But this is something that I wish, I hope, I dream for you to do every single day. In the morning and in the evening is when our unconscious brain is is we can override the conscious brain and create a new vision for our life. And as we create that new vision and keep anchoring it, rehearsing it every day, it becomes a reality. As Maria shared, is we start synchronizing with the right people, the right situations, the right things, because we're in the energy. The energy, we're energy, that's all we are. And that allows us to fulfill on that vision. So I want you guys to just close your eyes right now and just start taking some deep breaths, feeling in your nose and out through your mouth. And just feeling your body expand and contract. And I want you to see a light from the top of your head all the way up to the very top, and a grounding cord all the way on the bottom, grounding you down deep into the earth. And I want you to imagine now a bubble, an expanded bubble of white light, and you're filling your body with completely white light and feeling all of this energy and expansion around your heart area. And I want you to start breathing deep into your heart, feeling it expand out. I want you to feeling you're letting go of some of this stuff that you've had that's been lingering today and been lingering in old patterns, and feeling it, letting it go into the earth, grounding into the earth, and feeling all that negativity just drowned away into the earth. And now feeling this inner stillness. And I want you to see, what is it that you want to create in your relationships? Maybe you have a new relationship that you want to bring in. What would that characteristics of these person, what would they have? What about your current relationship? How could you make it more romantic and expansive? What about in friendships? Who would you like to surround yourself with? And remember, all of this is possible, but you have to create the vision for it. I know in some of this vision stuff, sometimes the unworthiness comes through, but I want you just to imagine the possibilities. If you don't believe it's possible, it's not possible. And I want you to see your finances. I want you to see positive abundance and everything, material desires you desire, but also your financial abundance. And with your career and everything, I want you to see you connecting with and enjoying your day throughout work. Your physical health, being vibrant and alive. And what are the actions that you would have to take in order to have that vibrancy and that aliveness every day? And then the last thing, which is the most important that we talked about, is spirituality and personal development. What do you want to do every day so you can show up as a better person, so you can show up as a better version of yourself, so you can become an inspiration to everybody around you, to help uplift everyone around you? Because really our life isn't about us. It's about what we can do and be for others and how we can show up. But first we have to fill up our cup. So I want you to take a deep breath in and deep breath out, and locking all of this vision in, and remembering that every day, envisioning what you want, every night envisioning what you want, and it is possible to create this. So you can open your eyes, and thank you guys for joining me today. Here is my information. If you want to set up, I have free coaching calls that we can set up a coaching call, or, you know, to follow me on social media. But this is something that you have the ability to do every single day, and everybody has access to doing it. It's just whether or not you're going to take the time, 10 minutes for yourself, to really create the life that you want.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Allison. I've definitely seen the benefits of meditation, and I like the way that you kind of engage like visualization with that too. Um, it's wonderful. You ladies are all amazing, and a lot of great tips, a lot of great insight. So we're going to be wrapping up. There was one question that came through. Somebody was asking if you guys had any strong opinions one way or the other about keto diets. If you don't, not a big deal, but if you guys either feel strongly or opposed, or for them, please give your advice on that.
I can go for a second. I think that ketogenic diets should be done under the supervision of a doctor, particularly if somebody has that is diabetic or something in that realm, because your body shouldn't necessarily be in ketosis all the time, and that's what the goal of a ketogenic diet would be. I truly, like I said, a well-balanced nutrition plan is if someone doesn't have any underlying issues that they should speak to a doctor about, is definitely a more better way of going about it.
Excellent. Anybody else? Okay, well, if there's no more questions, I just wanted to thank the speakers and everyone who joined us today. Again, another huge thank you to our sponsors, Ally Building and Paula Doley with Signature Wealth Advisors. You guys can contact us if you want to get the contact information for any of the speakers if you weren't able to take it down for whatever reason today. But again, this will be posted on the website a little bit later on today. So just thank you again. Thanks everyone for joining. I wish you wellness and hope you have a safe and healthy day. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.